So the first one, which a lot of guys will try to defend or even try to avoid, and I'm going to see if I can pull up this article here because it was mentioned as I was doing some research for my book. This is all pretty much straight off the chapter out of my book. I'm just going to distill it for the purpose of this video. Here we go. There's an article here called "The Case for Being a Cuck," believe it or not. And oh, look, it's got a picture of Ivanka Trump looking at Justin Trudeau. Let me share. They actually write articles about this. The case for being a cuck. And you can just Google this. Just search it on news. It's available on, looks like GQ magazine online. So this is like pushed out in the mainstream media. It's pretty much accepted, common. It's even celebrated in some cases. But it does exist. And when you get involved with a single mommy, you have to understand that you're signing up for your own cuckoldry. You might ask, what is a cuck? What does cuckoldry mean, Rich? Here, I'll dig you up your definition and give you the dictionary version. They have a bird called the cuckoo. They even have TV shows based off it as well. Dictionary meaning: a cuckold is an insulting term for a husband whose spouse has had a sexual affair. Cuckoldry can mean one of two things: the act of making a man a cuck by having an affair, or the state of being a cuckold. If you dig further into the Webster definitions, you can also see that it's inclusive of raising another man's child. Sometimes it's known, sometimes it's unknown. One of the stats that I pulled up doing some of the research when I was putting the book together was the rate at which married men who believe that the children that they are raising are in fact their own are cucked is somewhere between 10 and 30%. It's nearly impossible to establish what the accurate numbers are because the act of cuckoldry in a marriage or in a relationship relies on deception. So nobody's going to volunteer, oh, by the way, this is not your kid. I had this with Kevin from sales or Steve from accounting. She just goes about it. And, you know, she understands paternity, right? Paternity is insured because she births the child. The father does not have the option to ensure paternity unless he takes a paternity test to ensure that the offspring is his. But believe it or not, even in a married scenario, even in a couple, the instances of cuckoldry are somewhere between 10 and 30%. And all that data will be in another chapter in my book. I'm not going to spend any time on it in this broadcast. But again, society today celebrates what this is. And in my view, it's nothing to celebrate. Looking at articles titled "The Case for Being a Cuck," in my view, is disgusting. You don't have the opportunity to pass on your last name. There's no genetic legacy to pass down, and these 2 points have historically been the biggest selling points to men for fatherhood. This is why they would normally do it, right? So when you get involved with a single mommy, especially with small kids, you are, in fact, signing up for your own cuckoldry. You're walking into it knowingly what you're doing. To add insult to injury, women overwhelmingly have primary parenting of children the vast majority of time, and men don't. So if you're a divorced father, and this is going to come into play for a lot of guys, 35 plus or so. If you're a divorced father, you might actually end up in a scenario where you spend more parenting time some other man's children than your own. So just let that settle in.